to the networking webinar that we host almost every Tuesday at 2 o'clock Pacific time. And today, James wasn't able to be on the webinar, so Dottie agreed to help me MC.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So Dottie, many of you heard Dottie present. She talked about social media and how to use social media through for networking. Oh, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I guess it was, huh, Dottie?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And so anyway, this is I Take the Lead. We are a leads group organization, but this is a service that we're providing for the general public as well as our members, because a lot of people get involved in business, they want to network, and they haven't got a clue how to successfully network. So we have a variety of speakers, and today our speaker is going to be Danielle Ross. So hi Danielle, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
We're excited to have you. Danielle's already got her slide up, and so I'll be introducing her in a moment. But I wanted to let you know we are upon the holidays, so we are not going to have a webinar next week, which I believe would be the 22nd. 23rd, and we're not going to have a webinar on December 30th. We will be back in January, the first week of January. I've already got Luke Adams is going to be speaking, and that's January 6th. And again, it will be 2 o'clock Pacific time, and you'll be getting more information. I also want to kind of let you know, since you've registered, you're on here, if you've registered, you will automatically get a replay later on this evening. It will come out to you from Webinar Jam. And on the sidebar, feel free, you can post questions as we go. If it's relevant to what Danielle is talking about at that very moment, we'll go ahead and stop Danielle and see if she can answer it. But otherwise, we are going to have time at the end of Danielle's presentation for some Q&A. So, so be sure and fill in on the side. Like I said, you can post your questions as we go. Dottie, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Nope, you covered it.
Okay, thanks. I'm gonna. Danielle provided an outline for me to introduce her. So Danielle Louise Ross of Brand You Business is the ultimate marketing and branding coach. She helps get more clients to your door and shows you how to welcome them with ease by being you. Branding you is about growing your business in a real, authentic, and meaningful way so you can reach all the clients you want, do more of the work you love, and create a bigger impact. To share her presentation, attract more ideals through networking without doing any selling, I'd like to welcome Danielle Louise Ross. So yay, Danielle, I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you, Becky. Thanks, Dottie. I just want to say just super big thank you to Becky and to I Take the Lead, because I love this organization, and really the mission to help you connect with quality leads is so important, because we want clients, but we don't just want any clients. We want ideal clients who allow us to do our best work. So thank you, and thanks for having me today. And I also want to thank everyone who signed up for this, and even especially those who are listening right now, to take time out of your busy day and busy life in the holiday season. Deserves some recognition. So that really tells me that you're committed to growing yourself as a business owner, and that your work is really important to you. So thank you. So today we're going to talk about how to attract more ideal clients through networking without doing any selling. So let me tell you a little bit about what you're going to take away from today's presentation. You'll take away new ways to think about networking for maximum results and enjoyment. You'll learn the 3 phases of networking and why you must leverage each one for client attraction success. And you'll also learn easy ways to sign up prospective clients on the spot without being salesy, pushy, or inauthentic. Plus, I'm going to share some creative, fun, out-of-the-box networking strategies you might not expect. And I have a special story about one that I used this summer that was really successful. I'm sharing that for you at the end.
Oh, exciting.
So, yeah, and it's one I've never shared in a presentation before, so I'm really excited about that. So the fun that I just said, fun is a really important value to me because I think that no matter what you're doing, if you have fun while you're doing it, you can get way more out of it and get way bigger results if you're having a good time. So inspired from my desire to bring more of that to people and seeing that with my particular audience, which is mostly made up of service-based solo professionals, that the biggest gap in really growing their business tended to be overwhelm or resistance to marketing and selling. I really positioned my business around one question that I want to share with you as we get started together. And that question is, what if promoting yourself was as much fun as the work itself? So I want you to really ask yourself that question right now. And as you think about that, I want you to think about what would be possible for you if promoting yourself was as much fun as the work itself. What would be possible for your clients? And how much more quickly could you grow? So as we are primed with that question, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. Some of you listening might already know me, and many might not. So I just want to say a little bit about why you might be interested in listening to what I have to share today. Okay, first of all, I actually think that a great reason why you might want to listen to me is because I've struggled. I've been in the trenches with you. And in fact, before I got into my current niche as a marketing coach, I started actually as my own business owner as a professional actress. And promoting yourself and getting out there as an actress to be successful is extremely important. And I have to be honest with you, 10 years ago when I was doing that, I felt very conflicted about it. And I was constantly feeling in battle between my desire to do more acting and feeling very strange about being pushy or salesy, putting myself in situations where I felt like I might have to be inauthentic. That's at the time what networking meant to me. And today I'm going to share how you can flip that for yourself, because I treated myself as a guinea pig that I've tried all these strategies on first. So I also want to share a little bit of my personal success with what I'm going to share with you. I personally have used networking as one of my primary marketing strategies to grow my own coaching business to 5 figures a month. I have been hired on to help 3 networking event organizations grow their membership. And my business has generated tens of thousands of dollars of revenue from speaking, and nearly every speaking opportunity I've ever gotten has come from networking. But can I teach this stuff to you? Well, I think yes, so. So I want to tell you a little bit about some of the results I've had with clients using these strategies. So I've helped my clients double and triple their income and work with more ideal clients by improving the way that they market and sell their services. A recent client of mine got a 10 times return on investment during a 6-month coaching program with me. And networking is the #1 marketing activity I teach all of my clients to leverage, because growing your business is all about making purposeful connections with real people. So what is it about networking that allows these huge results to happen? Why networking? Well, I think networking really allows you to multiply the know, like, and trust factor with potential clients or even partners. And I think networking really allows you to cut through the noise of advertising and other forms of passive marketing. So when I say passive marketing, I mean if you put a post out somewhere, you put out a post on Facebook, people might see it, they might not see it, they might respond, but there's no conversation happening. Whereas in networking, it's all about the relationship and the conversations. Networking leverages the power of building meaningful relationships, and it also allows your audience to experience your energy firsthand, ask you questions, and relate to you in person. So with that, it's easy to understand the benefits of networking are very compelling, and without really having the right mindset walking in the door when you're networking, it's possible to understand the benefits and not actually get anything out of it. In fact, in relating my personal story to you, I think my biggest obstacle 10 years ago was not necessarily the strategies at my disposal, but the way that I thought about networking. And so I want to share with you some new empowered ways that you can think about networking, some success mindsets that can help you be set up to be successful before you even walk in the door. And one of the mindsets is, there are people out there who need me right now. For you to really embrace that there are people out there right now that need you. Mindset number 2.
Can you slow down just a minute?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So mindset number 2, and it's very related to being able to attract your ideal clients without selling, is that your goal in networking is not to sell people on your service or your product, but instead to connect with people who already need the results that you provide. And I'm really glad you're taking notes, Becky, and others probably out there too right now. So I also want to share with everybody that there'll be an opportunity kind of mid-presentation for you to sign up for a couple of free bonuses, and one of them is actually getting the slides from the presentation. So rest assured, if you can't take down everything, that there's going to be a way for you to get these as reference materials.
Very nice.
So, mindset number 2 is that your goal is not to sell people, but you're really trying to connect with people who already need the result that you provide. And I'm actually really excited to share with you the third mindset, because it took me a while to really get this one. And man, if I had it back when I started, I would have had a completely different feeling about what I was doing when I was walking in the room to network and promote my business. It might surprise you. So mindset number 3 is, most of my prospective clients are more nervous than I am. And I'm saying this as somebody who used to get really nervous about networking, put a lot of pressure on myself. But I want you to know that actually your prospective clients mostly are more nervous than you. So what am I talking about, and how is this so? So why? Because they've had disappointing buying experiences. They don't know if they can trust you yet. And even some of them who may really need you, they may not even know if they're worth it. Let me give you an example. So let's say someone's a personal trainer, and they connect with someone who's really interested in getting more fit, maybe losing weight. If that person continues to talk to you about it, or maybe actually invest some money in your services, then they're saying that their health and fitness is worth paying for. And for some people, that's a really big deal. So I find that really taking a minute to reflect, even before walking into a networking environment, and the fact that most of my prospective clients, maybe my most ideal clients, might actually be more nervous than me. Get the phone. That might actually be more nervous than me. It helps me take the focus off me and put it on them. And guess what? I don't actually have a slide for what I'm going to say right now, but you might want to write it down. The enemy of fear is involvement. So when you're really involved in the moment and you're focusing on other people and not you, the fear goes away. It dissipates. It doesn't have anywhere to live. So mindset number 3 can really help with that. So because most of your prospective clients are more nervous than you are, it's your job to build trust, to be the expert, and to show that you're the path to the future that they want. And so as we use that as sort of the foundation that we're going to stand on today as I get more into details and strategies, I want to also tell you that I've heard, as I love to have conversations about marketing and networking, some debate on whether networking is something that you can use to get immediate results, you know, a la sign up clients on the spot, or if it's really more of a long-term strategy, something that grows over time. And I actually think it can be both. You can both take advantage of the moment and sign people up on the spot, and some things will pay off over time. And because of those two sides of the spectrum, I want to share with you what I see are the 3 phases of networking, because if you're going to get the maximum result, you need to leverage all 3 phases. So let me share with you what those are. Where you go, how you show up, how you respond to distraction. No, I'm just kidding. There's a little sound in the background. How you show up, and what you do after. So say that again. So where you go, how do you choose where you go? How you show up, and what you do after. So let's go a little bit deeper on where you go, because people ask me all the time, how do I decide where I go? How do I decide what networking events or organizations I should invest my time in? So I want to share with you a really simple way of thinking about it. Think about showing up where there are people who you help. So where is your target audience? Where do they come together? Where do they congregate? And also where there are people who help who you help. So both of these two sides are a pathway toward your ideal client, connecting with your ideal client directly or through people who help your ideal client. And there might be other people who know your ideal client. So, you know, everybody that you want to connect with might be one person away. But when you're approaching networking as a business building activity, the fact is you do have a limited amount of time to invest in that. So I say really focus on these 2 areas so you can get the biggest result back for your time investment. So now I'm actually going to flip to number 3, which was what happens after, because that's going to be a little bit shorter, and then we can go deeper on how you show up. So what do you do after you connect with somebody when you network? Simply follow up. I mean, if you follow up, you're going to have more likelihood of nurturing that relationship and turning that person from a prospect to a client than if you don't have any communication afterward. And there are a lot of reasons why people don't follow up. You might reflect on if there's ever been a time where you didn't follow up, what happened? I often hear that from clients that a big obstacle sometimes is just figuring out what to say. You know, if I email them, what do I say? So one solution to that is to have some tried and true communication sort of in your back pocket that you can use when you connect with somebody. So all you need to do is add in a name and a few little personal tidbits, and then you can send that email off. So I actually want to share with you a couple of free bonuses that I want to give you for listening to today's webinar. And one of them, very pertinent to what you do after, is 2 follow-up email templates that are totally customizable and work for most situations so that you don't have to overthink what to do after you connect with someone. You can just send that off. Because one of the other things I often hear that gets in the way is debating on what to do or not leaving time for the follow-up, and then a week passes and 2 weeks passes and maybe a month passes, and then you kind of feel like, wow, it's really after the fact. This isn't relevant anymore. So I want you to be ready. So you can get 2 follow-up email templates, all of the slides from today's presentation, and I'm actually doing a little client attraction book giveaway as well. So you'd be entered for that giveaway to win 3 of my favorite business building books, including my favorite marketing book of all time, Book Yourself Solid by Michael Port. So you can just go to brandnewbusiness.com/ITTL if you haven't already. You probably did it while I was talking, and put in your name and email and get those bonuses and a ticket in for the raffle. So continuing on. Oh, go ahead. Do you have a question?
Oh, no, I just said, oh, very nice.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Thank you.
Lots of fun. And again, I thanks for slowing me down a little bit at the beginning. Because it's a lot of information, so I thought ahead, and I thought, you know, these slides would be really great for people to have to go back to, because I packed it in today. I want to give everybody a serious boost before you take off some time for the holidays. So moving ahead to that second area, we said, okay, where you go, what happens after, and now the middle is how do you show up? Because how you show up when you network is really going to influence how much you get back. And I want you to attract more ideal clients through networking without doing any selling. So how do you show up? Well, I think it's really all about being a master of the networking conversation. All the opportunity, all the clients that you want are going to be born out of the initial conversations that you have when you meet people in networking. And there's some building blocks to how to be a master. I think that you need to be able to describe who you are and what you do in a clear, compelling way. Very essential. You need to learn how to listen to ideal client cues. So how do you know when somebody is an ideal client or is a good time to talk about or go into more detail about what you do? And you need to have the next step ready and make an invitation. When someone's really interested, what do you do? If you're not prepared, you might not take advantage of the moment. So let's go deeper in how to describe who you are and what you do in a clear, compelling way. We're not always taught when we are in training for our professional category actually how to talk about it with potential clients or partners. Most people aren't, and it's a different language. So I just want to give you a really simple structure about how to do this and share with you some techniques that have really worked for me. So I believe you should have a who and do what statement. And if you win the book giveaway, actually, this is Michael Port's way of referring to your response of the question, what do you do? So your who and do what statement can be built really easily. I help fill in blank with fill in the blank. So what do you fill those blanks with? Who do you help, and what do you help them with? And notice that the word result is in the parentheses, so it's not, you know, I help small business owners with through coaching, because I would be really missing what the payoff is, that I'm really helping people grow their business. That's the big payoff. So I'm going to give you an example using my own business. I help people who love what they do and hate having to promote it get more clients. And there's so many versions of this that we could do, but that's a really simple example of here's the who and here's the result. That's the language of your clients. They want to know what is the result. So I'm going to tell you a quick story about this, because a couple of years ago I was working on my first iteration of a workshop I've done, I think now maybe 6 times, that's all about networking, and I was trying a lot of the strategies on myself, all kinds of different ways I could have that compelling who and do what statement. And I was in line to go into a big networking event, and I bumped into this gentleman who was a small business owner, and he asked me what I did, and I answered with a version of this. I did it in question form. I said, you know how a lot of people love what they do and hate having to promote it? He was like, yeah, me? And then we just started talking. And I said, well, that's what I help with. And you know, Coach, I help them get more clients, and it can be really easy and fun. And I just saw his eyes light up. And the thing that happened after that, at the time I wasn't happy about, we got separated because there were so many people in that room. I was so excited when we connected, and then I lost him. I was like, oh no, I should have gotten his card. What's wrong with me? I thought, oh well, this is a really important lesson. But I'll tell you, that compelling who and do what statement really showed its worth, because almost like glue or a boomerang or something, that person was so excited about that short little chat we had that he made a point to find me, to hunt me down before he left the networking event. So we did end up scheduling a follow-up meeting after that, and he did end up being my client and actually still doing some one-on-one work with me now and growing leaps and bounds. And I just think back to the moment when we first connected. He may not remember what strategy I was using or how the conversation sparked. He only knew that he was excited that we connected. But this is the power of this strategy. It has the power to really help you connect with your clients, and then, I mean, you can change someone's life after that. It's a really beautiful thing, super powerful. So I want to share with you a related mindset just to really pull out the learning there. And it's just the fourth and final success mindset with networking that I'm going to share today. And that's that your clients don't buy your service, or your product, they buy your result. And I highlight service not only because I work with a lot of service providers, but actually because I find that service professionals tend to struggle the most with messaging, because it's not as cut and dry as a product. If I go and I know I need to buy chairs for my kitchen, I want to buy a chair and I'm going to get a chair. But if I'm looking to hire a consultant or a coach or a trainer or somebody like that, then I need to really understand with that service or experience exactly what I'm getting, and you're going to help me understand that by really highlighting the result. And it works. So the second piece of how to really be a master of the networking conversation is learning how to listen to ideal client cues. How can you really spot that you're potentially on the brink of an ideal client signing up with you? So really simple cues for you. Intense emotion. I want you to look for intense emotion. This could be in the form of excitement or frustration in relation to the work that you do. So really easy example with what I just shared with you, that story of being at that networking event, connecting with that small business owner. When I said my who and do what statement, his eyes lit up with excitement. And that gave me a sign that it was really safe to talk about what I did, to ask him questions about his business, and to share with him more. And that it was not salesy or pushy at all. I was being given the green light with excitement. The same thing can work if somebody is expressing a lot of frustration around the area that you work in. And I'll give you another example of that. So I have a client who does a lot of really deep inner transformational work, and in particular really loves helping women get into ownership of who they are and feel like they're worthy of more self-care and time. And so this deep sense of worthiness is a really important value that she gives her clients. And she had told me that she was connecting with lots of people when she was out doing these networking assignments from our work together, but nothing was popping. She wasn't getting any leads, and she wondered what she was doing wrong. So I asked her to tell me, well, tell me about the connections that you're making. And she said, well, I just met this really amazing woman actually at a networking event, and she totally opened up to me. We talked about worthiness and my work, and she said that she's always felt like she wasn't enough, and she even cried for a second, and I hugged her, and I said, then what happened? And she said, well, then we got our stuff, and then we left, and I went home. And I was silent. Because that was the moment of deep connection. That was the cue, the frustration or the emotion. That other person wouldn't have told my client those things if she didn't feel like she really trusted her. And I at that moment wanted to educate my client that this is people saying yes to you. This is a perfect moment to tell them, if you feel like it's true, that you could be the pathway to what they want and that you could help. So the great news is that even though that was a learning situation for my client, and she wasn't able to reconnect with that person because she didn't have any contact info, she took the lesson onward and recently connected with a a great woman who wanted to grow her coaching practice and saw my client out there in the world doing big things, was really inspired and said, oh, I'd love to chat with you, and just could you give me a few tips about how I can grow my business? My client said, oh yeah. And when they were on that call, through the conversation, emotion came up and fear came up, and it really came into that person feeling like they need more than strategies, but actually the emotional support, which is really my client's sweet spot. And so instead of hanging up the phone or not doing anything, she recognized that as her cue. And she said, I think I can help you. And then they talked about what it would look like to work together. And they're working together today because she recognized that cue.
Oh, very nice.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
And not pushy, not salesy, just being in service. We have to recognize the cues for them to be there. And the beautiful thing is, Becky, too, is this helps you become a better referral partner, because being a great referral partner to your peers really has a lot to do with understanding the result that your peers provide, and then seeing the cues in the people that are around you. And then all you do is get to help make that connection, and it's totally positive. So moving on to that last area in terms of becoming a master of the networking conversation, I think it's also really important for you to have a next step ready and to make an invitation. So you need to be prepared to be successful. What are you going to do when you connect with someone and you see the excitement or the frustration around the area you help, and what do you say next? And I think that there's a really simple kind of all-purpose thing that you can have ready, and there are all kinds of other ways that you can leverage that moment, but let's just start with the easiest, simplest. Just invite them to schedule a consultation with you. A place where you can have a dedicated conversation about how you might help, or about here's some potential ways that you could move forward just in getting this result in your life. And then if it makes sense, you can talk about what working together would look like. Simple, easy. So let's do a recap, because I've downloaded a lot of information.
I know.
A lot of different stories. So let's do a recap, and there's going to be some time for Q&A, so that's a really fun perk, especially for those that are on the call live right now. Definitely take advantage of the moment and ask a question if you have it. And you'll also be benefiting everybody that listens on the recording to have your question, because most likely you're not the only one with the question that you have. So recap. We went over the 4 ways or mindsets to think about networking in a different way so you can get more results and actually have more fun. So what were some of those mindsets? Oh, can I give you guys a pop quiz? Do you guys remember any of the mindsets? Dottie or Becky?
Oh, you're asking us? Oh, I think they should write it down. Dottie?
You wrote it down, Becky.
I know.
I was actually, one of the mindsets I was going to question you on, but it was going in with the idea that people already need your services and they're waiting for you to show up to talk about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You worded it differently, but...
Yeah, it's the same idea. Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I have a question on that when we get there.
Okay.
And then another mindset was not to sell. The idea is not to sell.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That was part of it.
Right. Yeah. Not to sell. It's really just about connecting. Another really big one that was pivotal for me was about realizing that my ideal clients actually might be more scared than I am in networking, and that most of us can relate to at some time in our lives making a buying decision that we weren't totally happy with. So we can have compassion for the people we're connecting with and understand that it's really our responsibility to build that trust. That's a big one. We also talked about the 3 phases of networking and why you must leverage each for client attraction success, so that you can potentially book someone on the spot, get them into that follow-up conversation, and also take advantage of some of the fruits of networking that may happen weeks or months down the line. So what were those 3 phases?
How you show up, how you follow up.
Yep.
And where you go.
And where you go. That's right. Well done. And we also, I didn't tell them that I was going to give them a pop quiz, but
No.
I can talk to you so immediately right now. It's a good thing that you were listening. So we also talked about some easy ways you can sign up for prospective clients on the spot without feeling salesy, pushy, or inauthentic. And one of the big areas we touched on that I don't hear talked about a whole lot was about spotting ideal client cues. So really training yourself to notice that that intense emotion, whether it's excitement or frustration or some other emotions that might come up, are actually an indicator that you could really be of service with this person, and that can really open the door to more conversation naturally.
I get the frustration one more than the excitement one.
Yeah, I totally get that. I totally get that. Because social media overwhelms so many people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, once they're in a place where they're comfortable enough with you to tell you their trials and tribulations about social media, then you really have a place to jump that conversation into, like, well, so what are your goals for your business and why is it important to you? Because obviously if somebody's feeling that strong emotion, then there's something there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So now we've done our recap, and in just a moment we'll transition into Q&A. I also promise I'm going to tell you a really fun story of a out-of-the-box creative networking strategy, I guess I'll call it, that I've used recently that you'll never find in a book. I want to share with you an event that I have coming up. I know that we have some people that are not local, so there's something for everybody. But for those of you that are listening and are Portland-based or are close enough to travel to Portland, I want to tell you a little bit about an event that I have coming up in January, on January 11th, that's called Networking Influence Bootcamp. And I mentioned that I've been trying these strategies for many years on myself, and also empowering my clients to do them as well. And from all the evolution has come this great workshop, which I now call my signature workshop. And it's a place where you can go even deeper into what you learned today, to not only learn it, have your eyes open and have more awareness of what's possible, but actually embody the strategies, have practice. It's called a boot camp for a reason. I like to say that when you want to get really strong, it's one thing to read about push-ups, and it's another thing to go and do a lot of push-ups. So in the boot camp, there are a lot of opportunities for you to craft your 2 to 3 responses to what do you do, and actually practice them, even rep them, if you will, with a lot of like-minded professionals. And we have a room for about 50 in this workshop. It's really a more the merrier kind of situation, because there's no better way to really get masterful networking than to actually be in an environment that simulates real networking. So we have about 35 people that are already registered, and I would love for you to join us. And also give you a little special extra for being on this call today. So it's regularly a $97 workshop, but if you register through the link from this webinar by going to brandnewbusiness.com/NIB, Networking Influence Bootcamp, you can get a 50% off into the workshop, and just enter the code 5050. And I would love to see you there, because we're going to have a great time. In fact, just a super quick story. It can be really inspiring to hear stories about what's possible. A client that's, I would call a graduate of this work, a couple weeks ago, she's a massage therapist and she works in a building with some other practitioners, told me a story about how she used the communication techniques that she learned through the system when she was chatting with a few people in her building in the bathroom, and she sold 3 massage certificates.
Oh, wow.
In the bathroom. I'm like, you know what? Networking can really happen anytime and anywhere, and you gotta be ready. And what's so perfect is this is somebody that when she came to me, she was so afraid of being salesy. But look what she just did. And she wasn't salesy. These people were excited that they were buying some massages for the holidays. So it's a win-win. So I told you that before we went to the Q&A, I would tell you a quick story about a very creative outside of the box networking strategy that I recently practiced. And first I'll just show you a picture, and then I'll tell you a little bit more. So who are these people? These people are my friends. They're my
Brenda.
Some of these people are my clients. And this is, on the surface, this is a picture of a kickball team. But this was also a really creative way that I got to grow community, that I got to bring fellow business owners together and simultaneously network. And it paid off in all kinds of ways. And so it was this summer I decided to create a kickball team. I didn't run the organization, but I pulled everyone together. And it was actually inspired by my own feeling of like, wow, I'm sitting at my computer a lot in my business. If your fellow coaches out there know, we love people, but in today's world, we're at our computers a lot. And I felt a little bit isolated, and somehow I just started daydreaming about kickball. I don't know where it came from. And I decided to sort of put my feelers out to some of my clients and friends who are business owners about, would you be interested in being on a kickball team comprised of people who work for themselves? And I had no idea what I would get back from that question, but I got like a lot of interest, way more than I ever expected. And so we filled the roster of 10 people in only a couple of days. Apparently this is an unmet need that I didn't know about. So we pulled a team together. Again, the theme was people who work for themselves. It totally fit my sensibilities because I'm all about bringing more fun, and it was definitely fun and playful. And simultaneously, a lot of people that wouldn't have otherwise connected or gotten to know each other got to meet via this kickball team. And in fact, in addition to there being some colleagues and also some clients that I was already working with, there were some people that were just introduced to me, or one person that I'd had a consultation with and was still kind of thinking through what her next move was, joined the kickball team. And then after the kickball team wrapped, actually 3 of the people on the team became new premium coaching clients of mine.
Oh, very nice. Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't do the team with the expectation that I would get clients, but it was a side benefit, and it may look like a kickball team, but this is also networking. There's so many ways to network. And what a great way to get to know, like, and trust your potential new coach or service provider that you're working with, then getting to hang out with them on a kickball team. It was the real me. These clients signed up because they saw the real me. In fact, I got a little bit injured, so some of them saw me cry, but that's a longer story. They still loved me. They still loved me. So I wanted to share that story with you because I think one of the takeaways is that you don't have to read a strategy from a book, or it doesn't have to be something that's ever done before. If you really understand the mindsets of being a masterful networker, if you understand really the psychology of potential clients, and that it's up to you to build the trust, then there's an infinite number of ways that you can do that you can accomplish that. And so this summer for me it was kickball, but for you and your business it could be something else. And I really want to leave you empowered to dream about creative ways that you might build safe environments that your clients can get to know you. So then talking about doing the work becomes easy because they already trust you. So I want to say thank you, reiterate the bonuses, and open it up to a Q&A. So again, you can get all of the slides from today's presentation via brandviewbusiness.com/ITTL, and you can also get the email templates for following up and enter the book giveaway. And then also, if you want to join me for this great event in January, Networking Influence Bootcamp, so you can take the strategies that you learned today and go deeper and actually feel unshakable confidence when you go out networking, no matter what happens, even if you bump into somebody that might want your services in the bathroom, you got it covered, then join me and you can get the 50% off code there. And there's no time limiter on this, as sometimes we normally do. And things like this. The limiter is that once the workshop's filled, once we hit the maximum number, then it's filled. So I would definitely encourage you to do that today if it's something that really resonates with you.
Well, wonderful. Yeah, I know John Torino's going, and he's been promoting it as well for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If John's listening, thank you, John.
Yeah, I don't know if he is today. Well, I just, real quick, Lynn wanted to let you know that this has been great and very helpful, especially about the potential clients and her perception of them.
Mm-hmm.
She posted that early on.
Great. Thanks.
So, yeah. Well, thank you. So,
other questions?
We're going to open it up. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead and post them on the sidebar there.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of back to your goals when you go into a mixer networking event. Have you ever, I don't know if you'd call this a separate strategy or a separate mindset, gone in thinking about who you can connect other people to?
Sure. Yeah, actually, I think about that all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it works really well for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that because we are really talking about not being salesy, trying to connect with the right people and being in service, that one of the ways you can be in service, even if someone isn't a potential client or partner, is by just asking them, is there anything that I can do to help, or who are you trying to connect with? Because one of the pieces of incredible value that you have to offer, especially if you're out networking a lot, is the value of connections.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy to connect two people together that would be beneficial to each other, whether they're a client and a provider, or potential referral partners, or supportive colleagues, whatever it is. It's easy. It often only takes one quick email, and you could change people's lives. And I love focusing on that, because it's just another thing to get you out of your head and focus on one of the things that you have control over, and that's being a giving person. And it'll come back to you too.
Definitely. I've noticed that it helps people to relax, and it helps build trust.
Absolutely.
Well, I just wanted to share, Danielle. John said you're welcome. He is on the webinar. I wasn't sure if he was. That's funny. And Shane, I think I know who this is. He's actually going to be joining. He's not a member of our team yet, but he said he has two completely different businesses, windows and doors, and then he also has goal coaching. When he's networking, how can he integrate both, if that's even possible? Do you have any ideas on that?
Yeah, and that's a really, really good question to ask, because I get that a lot in the bootcamp as well. So I think in the big picture, realizing that when we try to communicate too many things at once, then sometimes we risk losing all of the information really being absorbed, can help you make strategic decisions about what you share when. So I would be really curious about the places that might be best to network as the coach versus the person that does the windows and doors, and that potentially there might be some different audiences at play here. So I think that one solution is to know which kind of foot you're leading with based on where you're going. Go with that, and then just like the ideal client cues about excitement or frustration, if you start talking about windows and doors and then somebody says that they really are into personal development, there might be a great moment to actually say, you know, one of the other things I do is I'm a coach.
Oh, good idea, yeah.
You know, but if you try to do it all in the same sentence, it can sometimes dilute the power of both things, because on the audience side, it can be a lot to kind of process windows and doors and goal coaching. We can kind of trans people out, and we don't want to do that.
Right.
We want to make it easy for them to understand.
Absolutely. I also wanted to share, Tracy says, Tracy's starting their own web-based business. I don't know if it's a girl or a guy, but I'm in the early stages before I launch this, and I wanted to get a jump start in learning how to network before this happens. This was very helpful. And then Jeff Mays, of course, we all know and love Jeff. He says, I'm so excited about the boot camp. Awesome presentation, Danielle. You are always so much fun and provide great information. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff.
And then John Torino says, again, I'm looking forward to the January session as well. I think Danielle will be able to teach even this old fellow new tricks.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, because John, I think he just had his 50th birthday, so.
Happy birthday. Well, I like that. You know, I've had people that were like, okay, I'm going to go to this boot camp, but I think I know everything there is to know about networking, so we'll see. And they were actually surprised that they had some takeaways that were different and new and things that they hadn't thought about before. So I think there was something for everyone here.
Oh, I'm sure. I heard it because you had one before in the fall, I think it was. And I got the feedback from some of the people who went, and they said it was outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. So I think it'll be wonderful.
That's great to hear. Thanks.
Yeah. So real quick before we end, are there any other quick questions or comments that does anybody want to make? I don't think we have any. Danielle, I've really loved having you. I'm really glad that you joined I Take the Lead. You're just a breath of fresh air. And I love having you speak to the different groups, and everybody just raves about you. Eileen said, great content and love your energy, Danielle. I'm in Seattle. Look forward to making a trip to Portland in early January.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
I like to hear that. Well, I'll make it worth your while, I promise.
And Adrienne says, how do you narrow down what you say you do when you do a lot of things?
Yeah, well, it sounds similar to the other question about the windows and doors and goal coaching in a way. So you have some different options, and then if you haven't been to the boot camp, we could definitely go deeper, and I can give you a little bit of one-on-one on this one. But I think one option is deciding, okay, which foot do I want to lead with here, and what makes sense based on where I'm going. So it may make more sense to lead with one of the many things because of where you're showing up. Another way, kind of strategically, to work with it is to think of what's like the through line of all the things. So maybe there's something that if you were to kind of distill what the biggest thing is that all of those things have in common, that might be a way that you can sort of start the conversation, and then you can see if there's any piece of that piques someone's interest, and then roll with that. But the big thing that I recommend is don't try to stack too many things into one. I do this and I do that and I also do this on the side, because then people get paralyzed. They don't know what to ask you about or how to really process that information. So maybe there's a red thread that is something that all of those multi-interests have in common. I'm just curious.
They didn't say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they were still on, I would, if I could talk to them, then I could go less into hypothetical and more into kind of coaching on it. But definitely, if you haven't been or thinking about it, come to that boot camp, and then we can work it out together.
Well, another question I have, Danielle, then, because some of these people, we get people on the webinar from Florida and Denver. Of course, a lot of our Denver members are on. So do you work with people long distance?
I do. In a couple of different ways. I have a group program that's for only a select 8 small business owners at a time, all service-based, because that commonality is really, really helpful to make the group program effective. And that's a 6-month program. There's actually some more information about that on my website if it piques your interest. It's really easy to get to when you navigate from the homepage and go to programs. But anyway, that's one way, and I do it virtually, so I work with people all over.
Okay.
As well as one-on-one. So I think if you want to stay connected, it would be great if you take advantage of the free offer for a whole lot of reasons, no matter where you are, because you get all those bonuses. But also, I send out a weekly blog that's filled with all kinds of great practical tips, and I'm religious about it. I know you see them, Becky, every single week. So that's a great way for us to stay connected. And if you feel like you need more support, email me, Danielle at BrandUYOUbusiness.com, and we can chat about what's the best way to support you.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, and I've got to say, both you and Dottie. Dottie puts out her well, almost weekly. Maybe sometimes a little less. But yeah, she puts out these tips on social media or anything to do with social media and web, and I love listening to those, and I love your blog as well, Danielle. So I thank you, Dottie, for being here and helping me.
Thanks, Dottie.
Oh, you are most welcome.
Yeah. So this has been fun. And Ron said thank you, and Adrienne said sweet, thanks, very helpful. She was the one that does a lot of things, so she said thank you, that was very helpful.
Oh, good. And come to the boot camp if you can, Adrienne.
Exactly, in Portland. If not, contact Danielle. Well, we're going to end it today, the networking webinar today. Again, thank you so much, Danielle. Thank you, Dottie, for being on the webinar with us as well. And I want to thank everybody who has been on here. You will get the replay, so you get to hear it, but again and again and again. But also be sure and sign up, brandyoubusiness.com/ITTL, and you'll get the free slides and enter a chance to get the book giveaway. And if you are in Portland, don't miss out on the boot camp on January 11th, 1 to 5, correct? 1 to 5?
1 to 5, that's right.
Right. And it's brandyoubusiness.com/NIB. And this, of course, will be on the replay as well. So, well, thanks again, Danielle. Thanks, Dottie. And goodbye from I Take the Lead Land, everybody.
Have a great
night. Happy holidays.
Oh, Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays. Yeah, that's right. Happy Hanukkah. Bye, Danielle. Bye, Dottie.
Bye.